Hi, Tina. Good morning. Well, might not be morning for you. ah, um, so let's go ahead and have our yoga practice together. We have here, let's see, so I have a block and a strap for us today. And then you might also want your cushion to sit on. And we will come seated first to start. So we'll come cross-legged. And don't really worry about too much of the alignment here that we worked on before, but just find your seat. And once you find your seat, we will close the eyes and allow the attention to settle inwards. So, one of the more important parts of our yoga practice we can practice in the beginning and in the end. And so, in yoga philosophy, there's this idea of svadhyaya, and svadhyaya means self-study. And so at the beginning of practice, it's a moment for us to kind of check in and gather information on kind of our state of being. So we can check in with the body and see how the body feels today. And just checking in with the way that the body feels today, right, gives us information on how we're living, how we're doing, right? What's helping, what's not helping. And so you might just notice kind of any areas of tension, any areas of ease in the body. And then you might also notice just emotional state, energetic state, and see if you can witness kind of how you are as you are without any judgment, no judgment. And then we'll go ahead and bring one hand to the heart and one hand to the belly. And we'll start to just feel into the breath a little bit. So as you inhale, just feel the rise of the breath. And as you exhale, the fall. And as you witness the breath like this, just the rise and the fall of the breath. Start to see if you can just release the weight downwards. So this is like a physical gesture of just releasing areas of tension so we can come present to our yoga practice. And then we will shift into child's pose from here. So you can set whatever you're sitting on over to the side and take the knees wide or take the knees together, either way. Let the arms be overhead and let the forehead come down towards the ground. And this is a good moment to engage the Ujjayi breath. So if you remember, the Ujjayi breath is often taught as a small constriction at the back of the throat. Though as we progress with our yoga practice, we learn more about it. But for now, think about it as a small constriction in the back of the throat and see if you can start engaging in that way. And let the breath kind of increase its length and its capacity. So you're bringing the breath into more parts of the body, so to speak. Releasing downwards. And then from there, we will move up into all fours. So grounding the hands and using the arms to help you come up onto all fours, and we'll have the hands more or less underneath the shoulders and the knees more or less under the hips. And we'll start to move into our cat-cow. So inhaling into the cow pose, and then exhaling into the cat pose. And for the beginning, right, you could keep the eyes closed just so that you can sense a little bit more of the full length of the spine and the movement in the full length of the spine. Good. Yeah. And then from here, we're going to move into our lunge position. So we will take our blocks underneath our hands, and we'll take the right foot forward so we can assist the right foot forward. And when you first come into the lunge position, you can let the hips shift forward. Continue with your Ujjayi breath. See if you can start to cultivate the way that the head can be an extension of the spine. So you can find a little press through the top of the back foot, and then a lengthening of the crown of the head forward. So it's almost like you're finding the reach, the connection through the whole body. And then we'll shift the hips back just a little bit, and we'll take the arms up and overhead. And so remember, you can stay soft in the shoulders, letting that be a little bit of the focus for these weeks of practice. And as you do, breathing out into the side ribs, the front, the back. So you're really cultivating the musculature inside and the breath capacity inside there. And we'll have one more breath here. So nice full inhale. And exhale. We'll bring the hands back down to the blocks and shift the right foot back to meet the left. And just pause there for a moment, kind of reestablish yourself so that we can move the left foot forward. So again, you can assist the foot coming forward and then let the hips shift forward as they do. Again, I like a little press through the top foot, a little press through the top of the back foot, and then a reach through the crown of the head, and finding that length through the whole body. And there's many things, many things we could focus on in this pose, but for now, just start to establish that connection and a little stretch through the hips. And then shift the hips back and take the arms up and overhead on an inhale, remembering to keep the shoulders soft, eyes soft, so the eyes are focused somewhere in front of you. And we connect to our Ujjayi breath. And we'll have one more breath, inhaling. And then the hands will come back down to the blocks. And we'll step left foot back to meet the right. And from here, we'll come into downward facing dog. So we can tuck the toes, lift the knees, and we'll go up and back into downward facing dog. And first, just feeling into it a little bit. So, no need to do anything right away, just kind of feeling what's easy, what's difficult about downward facing dog, knowing that through practice and in time, right, we're cultivating this sense of ease in the posture. And sometimes takes some time. Well, that's okay, that's the journey. And then we come all the way up onto the toes, lifting the heels, give a little bend to the knees, point the sit bones way back behind and get longer through the arms. So it's like the heart is reaching back towards the thighs almost. Yeah. And then once you establish those real long arms, keep the tilt in the pelvis. The pelvis keeps tilting forward, but we re-extend the legs. So as you re-extend the legs, can you feel the sit bones reaching up and back, up and back, up and back? And then once you find that, you let the heels ground back down. And then we will release. The knees come back down. Mm-hmm. And then what I would like us to do is to come up into standing. So you can use your hands, ground the feet, lift the hips. Find a little forward fold here on our way up to standing. And then we'll come all the way up. You can take the arms up and overhead if that feels good. And then the palms come down through heart center. And then let's find our strap. So if you remember the work in the strap that we did in the shoulders, so just kind of playing a little bit with those ideas. So we'll have the loop in the strap, and the loop will be about shoulder distance. Maybe it's hard to see. About shoulder distance apart, if not a little bit wider. Yeah, it's a little bit wider than shoulder distance. And then we put our wrists through and we give a little press out. Yeah, so we're kind of pressing out. Yeah. And then we'll take the hands just straight out from the shoulders. Feel down into the feet. So your feet are kind of the information of how the body is oriented up above. And so that's kind of why we want to keep cultivating that sense of all four corners of the feet pressing down. So it's the outer pinky toe, the big toe ball mound, the outer edge of both heels, and the inner edge of both heels. And if you don't feel it, don't worry, right? It comes with time. And then, yeah, go ahead and let the hands slide forward so the shoulder blades come apart. And then we'll come the other way. So we hug the shoulder blades in towards each other. Try to maintain some constant pressure out into the strap as you move between the two. So you're kind of finding the way the shoulders are in front of your center line and behind the center line. And you don't have to worry about too much of like really understanding that more than just a concept right now, right? We're just kind of learning what the practice entails, right? The ways to kind of deepen the practice. Yeah. And then find somewhere right in between and just see if you can feel a broadening through the collarbones. So shoulders kind of moving apart, right? We're creating space inside there with the muscles, with the breath. And in that, hopefully, we get some releasing of tension, releasing of holding patterns. Yeah. And then go ahead and release. You can put that to the side. Let's have a few shoulder rolls here. So just rolling the shoulders up and around. Yeah, good. And then let's take the arms back up and overhead, inhaling. And exhaling, folding back forward, we'll come back down to the ground. So we're going to walk our hands back out onto the blocks, if that works for you. So we're coming back into our downward facing dog position. You can practice with a little tilt of the pelvis. And then release the knees back down to the ground so we can step the right foot again, coming forward. So right foot comes forward. And then we tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. Remember, the back toes point more or less up towards the front left corner of the mat. And then maybe come up onto the fingertips, reach the heart forward. So when you lift up, the low back is already engaged. And then we can use the hands to come all the way up into warrior one. Relaxed shoulders. See if you can sense any of that broadness in the collarbones already here from the work of the strap. Maybe there's just like a residual kind of feeling there. Maybe it might even be subtle, might be slight. Let the breath accentuate that. And then let's open out into warrior two. Yeah, so remember the right knee keeps pushing a little out towards the right. We can open the arms. Let that be an inhale. Keep that space, but just turn the palms back down and gaze towards the front fingertips and have a few breaths again here. Yeah, relaxing the shoulders. Good. And then from here, we'll move all the way back down. So the hands will come back to the blocks. Come up onto the toes of the back foot. You can keep the back knee lifted or lower it down, and we can step back. And come up into downward facing dog. Downward facing dog is a nice pose to come into between sides because it's equalizing both sides again. So we just kind of did some asymmetrical work on one side of the body. So then we come, just a little balancing. And then go ahead and lower the knees. And we'll transition onto the second side. So stepping the left foot forward, tucking the back toes, lifting the back knee, and then grounding the back heel. So find the right placement for that right foot, toes facing towards the upper corner of the mat. Reach the heart forward best you can. And then use your hands. You can come all the way up into warrior one. And the arms lift. Shoulders stay relaxed. Eyes soft. Jaw soft. We'll have one more breath here before we move into warrior two. So nice full inhale, nice full exhale. And then when you take an inhale, you use the inhale, and then the exhale, we open out into warrior two. Open out through the shoulders, so broad across the collarbones. And then just the palms turn down, and we can look towards the front fingertips. Good. And then from here, we move all the way back down again. So hands come all the way down to the blocks. You can lower the back knee if that's helpful and step back. And once again, Actually, from here, let's go to child's pose. So take the knees together or wide, kind of choose, and then we'll let the forehead come down to the ground and we just release all the effort. And then ground into the hands. From here, we'll move back up seated. So find what you like to sit on and take a seat. And this time we will play with a little bit more of that activation in the feet that we talked about. So the ankles are flexed, the outer edges of the feet a little bit grounding down, pressing down. Hands on the thighs, and kind of roll the shoulders onto the back body, sit nice and tall. And from here, we'll move into our seated cat-cows. So you can start any direction, maybe pulling the belly back, the hands slide forward, the chin tucks in. And then coming the other way, the hands slide back, chest pulls forward, sit bone kind of faces a little bit back behind. Yeah, so move between the two. Again, you can close your eyes here. We don't always like our eyes closed in our yoga practice, but when we're really trying to sense into the movement of the spine and the continuity of the movement, letting things kind of move together, oftentimes it's helpful to close the eyes to just kind of sense. And then again, here you can kind of make the cat-cow a little bit smaller, so not as much movement. So you could start to sense the sit bones, the bones that you sit on right below, and how the body is organized up from the sit bones. And you can kind of find, right, it can be a practice over time, but it starts to help you find the way that the body is most upright. Right, we can start to sense ways that we are kind of schlumping, and more easily start to find our way, see it upright. And then let's go ahead and bring hands to heart center. And then it's right hand down to the ground, or when we were together, we use the block. So you can put the block to the side for the hand. And then it's the left hand straight up towards the sky with the shoulder relaxed. Ground down through the left hip and we'll come up and over towards the right. Relax through the right shoulder. See if you can cultivate a connection of the right hip pressing as the right fingertips, the right side of the body gets longer. And then you might even take the gaze all the way up to the left fingertips. I'm getting my rights and lefts confused, excuse me. I'm trying to mirror at some points and not mirror at others. Yeah, and then let's go ahead and come all the way back up. Simple pose that really feels helpful. And then we'll switch sides with the block. Right hand comes high, left shoulder relaxed. Ground through the right hip and come up and over. See if you can move the sense of stretch and everything a little down low, the sense of stretch and reach at the same time. And then maybe the gaze comes up towards the top fingertips. Yeah, and then let's come all the way back up. And we'll release. And then again, we'll pause. And from here, we'll come into our Shavasana. So again, putting the props to the side. I'm going to have a little bit of a brief Shavasana here. If you have time and you would like a little bit longer Shavasana, right, to really uh, rest and rejuvenate, you can let this video roll run out and stay in Shavasana. But otherwise, we'll just have a few minutes here. So go ahead and let all the efforts go. Let the mind wander. Feel the earth below. Give your weight. And then if you're going to stay with me and start to take a little deeper breath and bring some movement back into the body and slide the feet up. You can rock over onto a side and use the hands to kind of guide ourselves all the way back up. And then just one more moment seated here, just like we started. Again, another important part of practice is to check in at the end of practice. Sensing into the body, sensing into emotional, energetic, mental, spiritual states. And we can bring hands to heart center. Hands at heart center is also, it's a gesture of honoring that space that's inside, right? Honoring yourself, your needs, your desires, your sense of self, commitment towards friendliness and compassion towards others, but also towards ourselves. And you might even have some intention for your day, your family, your life, right? Sometimes those things come and you just honor, right? Hearing, listening to that inner quiet voice. And then we'll end with a wish. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings everywhere know love and peace. Om Shanti, Om Peace.